Harry had seen war. He'd seen what bullets do to bone. He'd held men as they bled out in the dark. But nothing in his years of Special Forces training had prepared him for what he found in a small orphanage in sub-Saharan Africa. 6 little girls, sitting by themselves in the corner of a crumbling room, drawing in silence while the other children played. He noticed them the moment he walked in. Not because they were loud, they weren't. Not because they were crying. They'd stopped doing that long ago. He noticed them because of the space around them, an invisible perimeter, as if the air itself had been told to keep its distance. At first, Harry assumed they were just close friends. Shy maybe, introverted. But as he watched the other children laughing, chasing, tumbling over one another, he realized no one came near these 6. No one even looked at them. And that's when his instincts kicked in. The same instincts that had kept him alive in combat zones. The ones that told him, something is wrong here. He walked over. The girls were drawing. All of them. Rainbows. Some crude, some surprisingly detailed. But every single picture showed the same thing. Arcs of color stretching across blank skies. A strange kind of hope on paper. The oldest girl looked up. She couldn't have been more than 12. Without a word, she handed Harry a piece of paper and a broken crayon. An invitation. He sat down. Harry found the orphanage director later that afternoon. "Why are those girls alone?" he asked. The director's expression shifted. Not surprise, something heavier. Resignation. "They are Olupunmi," she said quietly. "Rainbow children." Harry didn't understand. She explained. In certain villages, there was an ancient belief that had survived generations despite all logic. Children born during thunderstorms or when lightning touched the sky were considered cursed, bringers of misfortune, omens of death. When those children drew rainbows, it wasn't art. It was memory. They had been told again and again that the sky on the day of their birth was their shame. Their families abandoned them. Their villages refused to acknowledge them. And here in the orphanage, even the other children kept their distance. Not out of cruelty necessarily, but out of inherited fear. "Has anyone ever tried to adopt them?" Harry asked. The director shook her head. "No one will take the risk. The stigma is too strong. These girls will age out of the system. They will have no family, no future." Harry looked back toward the room where they sat. The youngest was 4 years old. 4. She had done nothing wrong. None of them had. Their only crime was being born on the wrong day, under the wrong sky. Harry had spent years following orders. Years doing things he couldn't undo. He had told himself he came to Africa to volunteer to help rebuild communities scarred by conflict. But standing in that hallway, staring at 6 abandoned girls, he realized the truth. He hadn't come here to help. He had come here to find something worth saving. "I want to adopt them." The words left his mouth before he fully understood what he was saying. But once they were out, he didn't take them back. All 6 of them. The director stared at him. So did the staff. A single man, American. A former soldier with no parenting experience, adopting 6 girls 4 to 12 years old, all at once. "Mr. Praise." "Harry," the director began carefully, "this is not something to decide lightly. You understand the challenges, the legal process, the cost, the years of care they will require?" He understood. "These girls," he said, "have been told their whole lives that they're cursed, that no one will ever want them. I'm not leaving here without changing that." The process took 8 months. 8 months of paperwork. Background checks. Home studies. International legal hurdles. Sleepless nights spent on the phone with lawyers, immigration officials, and agency coordinators who told him again and again that this would be difficult. Harry didn't care. Back in New Jersey, he sold his apartment and bought a house with 6 bedrooms. He painted each room a different color. He stocked the shelves with books. He enrolled in parenting classes. He researched school districts. He did everything he could think of to prepare for children he hadn't even held yet. And still, the waiting was unbearable. The day finally came. Harry landed in Africa and walked into the airport terminal with his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know what to expect. Would they remember him? Would they trust him? Would they even want to leave the only country they'd ever known? And then he saw them. 6 faces. 6 nervous smiles. 6 pairs of eyes looking at him like he was something impossible. The youngest Amara ran to him first. She grabbed his leg and didn't let go. The oldest Judgy hung back, watchful, protective. She had been their leader in the orphanage, and she wasn't ready to let her guard down yet. Harry knelt down so he was eye level with her. "I know you don't know me," he said quietly, "and I know this is scary, but I promise you, I'm not going anywhere. You're my daughters now, all of you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving that." Gigi didn't respond, but something in her expression shifted. She nodded, and together they boarded the plane. When the girls stepped into their new house in New Jersey, they froze. Amara whispered something in their native language. The others nodded in disbelief. Harry didn't need a translation. Their faces said everything. They had never seen a home like this. Hot water, electricity that didn't flicker, a refrigerator full of food, individual beds-in rooms that belonged only to them. But that first night, Harry learned something important. He had given them each their own room. But when he went to check on them, he found all 6 girls crammed onto Gigi's bed, curled into one another like they'd done every night of their lives. They weren't ready to sleep alone. Harry didn't force it. Instead, he gave them his master bedroom, the largest room in the house, and moved into the small guest room at the end of the hall. "Take your time," he told them. "We'll figure this out together." Weeks passed. Then months. Slowly, the girls began to spread out. One by one, they claimed their own rooms, decorating the walls, choosing their own bedding, learning what it meant to have something that was theirs. But they still had breakfast together every morning, still gathered in the living room every night. The space between them was healing, but the bond never weakened. School was harder. In the orphanage, education had been inconsistent at best. The girls arrived in America with fragmented reading skills and limited English. The structured environment of an American classroom was overwhelming. But Harry had faced harder things than homework. Every evening, he sat with them at the kitchen table. Flashcards, spelling lists, math problems, reading aloud until their pronunciation sharpened and their confidence grew. The 3 youngest, Amara, Nia, and Lila, clung to him constantly during those early months. They needed him nearby to feel safe. And Harry was there. Every morning, every bedtime, every moment in between. Gigi and her sisters Mari and Jay were pre-teens now, old enough to feel the social pressure of middle school, old enough to know that other kids were watching them, and other kids were cruel. The girls came home with stories, names they'd been called, lunch tables they weren't welcome at, whispered comments about their accents, their hair, their country. "Why don't they like us?" Mari asked one evening, her voice breaking. Harry sat her down. "Back in Africa," he said, "people avoided you because they were afraid of a superstition. Here, it's different. These kids aren't afraid of you. They just don't understand you yet. And people are often unkind to what they don't understand." He paused. "But here's the truth. You are not cursed. You never were, and the only way to prove that to the world is to keep being exactly who you are. Kind, curious, brave." He looked at all 6 of them. "They'll catch up, I promise." And they did. The shift didn't happen overnight, but it happened. Gigi joined the school choir. Mari discovered a love for books that bordered on obsession. She spent every free period in the library, building reading lists she would talk about at dinner for hours. Jay joined the chess club and, within a year, became its youngest captain. The younger girls followed. Amara found her voice in dance. Nia took to science. Leela, the quietest of them all, began writing short stories, fantastical tales about girls who could control storms. One evening, Harry watched all 6 of them sprawled across the living room floor, noses buried in books. The house was silent, except for the occasional turn of a page. He remembered the corner they once sat in, the way the world had pushed them aside, the way they drew rainbows, because it was the only way to process their own origin story. And now look at them. For the first time in as long as he could remember, Harry felt something. Harry didn't talk about his past often. The girls knew he had been in the military. They knew he had seen things. But he never gave them details. He didn't want them to carry that. The truth was, Harry had done things he wasn't proud of. He had followed orders that kept him awake at night. He had seen violence up close and, at times, been the one delivering it. For years after leaving the service, he didn't know what to do with himself. He had been trained to fight, to survive, to protect. But peacetime offered no mission, no purpose, no reason to wake up. And then he met 6 girls who needed exactly what he had to give: protection, stability, unconditional commitment. He couldn't undo the past. He couldn't bring back what was lost. But he could build something new. And every time he watched his daughters laugh, or learn, or lift each other up, he felt something like redemption. Not absolution, but direction. Time moved faster than Harry expected. Middle school became high school. High school became graduation. Graduation became college. Jijia enrolled in pre-med. Mari studied law. Jay pursued engineering. The younger girls followed their own paths: education, journalism, social work. Harry watched them go, one by one, into lives they had built for themselves. He kept the house, kept the family dinners, kept the Sunday lunches that became sacred. And when the grandchildren started arriving, he cried in a way he hadn't since the day he first saw those 6 girls drawing rainbows in an orphanage halfway around the world. One Sunday, the girls told Harry lunch would be at a different location. A surprise. He didn't think much of it. His daughters had always loved surprises. But when he walked into the hall, he stopped. It was filled with people, familiar faces, friends, colleagues, members of the community who had watched his family grow. And at the front of the room stood his 6 daughters. Gigi spoke first. "Dad, you gave us everything. You gave us a home when the world told us we were homeless. You gave us love when we had been told we were unlovable. You gave us a future when we had been told we didn't deserve one." Her voice wavered, but she kept going. "We spent a long time thinking about how to thank you, and we realized there's nothing we could give you that would ever be enough. So instead, we decided to give forward." Mari stepped up and unveiled a banner. It bore the name of a new nonprofit organization, founded by the 6 of them, dedicated to providing educational opportunities for girls in their home country. Girls who had been abandoned. Girls who had been told they were cursed. Girls just like them. Harry couldn't speak. Tears streamed down his face as each daughter took turns thanking him, sharing memories, recounting the moments that shaped them. And when it was over, Harry stood before the room, a man who had once carried violence in his hands, now holding the weight of a legacy he never imagined. He didn't adopt those girls to be repaid. He adopted them because they deserved to be chosen. And now, through them, that choice would echo through generations. Harry never saw himself as a hero. He was just a man who walked into an orphanage and refused to look away. But that's the thing about heroism. It doesn't always wear a uniform. It doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes, it looks like a single father making breakfast, helping with homework, showing up day after day for children the world forgot. The 6 girls who once drew rainbows in the corner of a crumbling room are now doctors, lawyers, engineers, educators, and changemakers. And somewhere in New Jersey, an old soldier sits at a Sunday table, surrounded by daughters who call him Dad and grandchildren who call him Papa. The curse was never real, but the love, that was everything.